Sometimes us real estate agents are like the weatherman. We're always asked to interpret the property market when we talk to people. This morning, we're going to give you the tools on how to do that yourself. Stay tuned.
Good morning.
Hey, is my head bigger today?
No bigger than it normally is.
It looks big on the screen.
It is a little bit more zoomed in, actually, yes.
How are you this morning?
I'm amazing. How you going, Mark?
Good, Ledge. Good. So this is interesting. We're going to teach people today some tools on how to interpret the property market. It is changing constantly. Different factors, immigration, COVID, interest rates down, interest rates up. What do you think, Mr. Silic? You're a long-serving, high-volume real estate agent. What would you suggest to people when they talk with you?
Well, interpreting the market. I'm finding that, and Mark had a really good analogy before, and I'll let you go through it in a second, Mark. But
You're not going to steal it?
No, I'm not going to steal it. I'll let you do it. I can't take the credit. I find that a lot of people interpret the market through sources that I don't necessarily think are in their best interest. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will go, I'm going to make my perception on the market based off what my friend tells me, based off what the media tells me, based off what someone else tells you, as opposed to actually doing the research and understanding why. And I actually have a question for you here, Mark. In the time that I've been doing real estate for the past 7 and a bit years, markets turn so quickly. As in, we're hot market 1 minute, we're cold the next, and then you think, okay, well, there's going to be a particular trajectory for a little bit of time, and then all of a sudden it literally flicks a switch. I have my reason why I think why, but my question to you is, in the past, for all the time that you've been doing real estate, have markets always been this volatile and turn this quick, or do they traditionally have a bit more of a longer trajectory when they're going up and down?
They've always been this volatile.
It's crazy.
What I find is the information being served is much more dynamic. It's much faster. It's much more aggressive, and there's so many different biases. What I mean by biases is agents can scale their opinion or view on the market. Newspapers can, RP data centers can, consumers can. So before you probably really had, the news, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, and then the barbecue conversations. That was your exposure.
Versus now, and that's what I was going to go into in terms of everywhere. The access to information is so much quicker than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And for that, I reckon the markets are starting to turn quicker and quicker, because that information, before you'd have to watch it on the news, you might have a chat with your friend at the barbecue on the weekend, and it slowly would start to sift through the market. To give you guys the most recent example, right now, the market was cold at the end of last year. It started building this year. We weren't too sure, was it? Because it was a bit inconsistent, 1 week hot, 1 week cold. And then all of a sudden now, the past 2 weeks, it has flipped a switch. Every single property that we've got on the market, and this is trying to be as unbiased as possible, every single property on the market is getting multiple offers on it. People are jumping over each other trying to increase their offers to secure a property. It was not like this 2 weeks ago. And it's amazing because it's at all different price points as well. How does everyone with different budgets, different life situations, all at the same time decide now's the time we're all going to jump in? It's truly amazing to see. It's really interesting.
You know what? I remember when I was in high school, I talked to a university professor when I was doing a paper, and I asked him for a non-biased view, and he laughed. And I said, "What are you laughing at?" He said, "There's no such a thing." I said, "Okay, well, where's the least biased I can get this information?" He said, all information's bias. So one thing out of today that I want people to think about that are monitoring the property market, trying to understand the property market, is because there's so much information out there these days compared to ever, you can actually go down a rabbit hole in any bias that you wish. And let me explain that. If I become a big fan of RP data, there's so much data that they're pumping out on a daily basis, which is biased towards them because they're data people. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, but it's just how it is. You can actually consume yourself in that and that only. It's not as balanced. You may be reading stuff consistently about property on Channel 9 news, so the news stations keep serving up property because that's Google, and that's how that's how they do stuff. Or you may have joined someone on Facebook that's hating on the rental market at the moment, and then suddenly you become biased towards that. So my first thing is trying to understand the property market. My first lesson in trying to understand the property market is try to keep it reasonably balanced in your view in what you're consuming and where you're consuming it from, because when you talk to Mark Novak, it's going to be a different bias to talking to Michael SILJIC.
It's so true. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter what your viewpoint is on the property market. You could go anywhere on the internet, speak to anyone. You can find people that have an aligned viewpoint to you. You think completely. And that's why there's, I think, so many drastically different opinions, because there's a case for every single opinion out there. And like Mark said, I think the best thing to do is try it as best you can, be as unbiased as you can, and look at a range of sources with it and start to put the picture together.
Gold. I think that's the golden lesson. Just look at where you're getting that information from, and that's healthy. It's good. Furthermore, I was talking to a bank valuer yesterday, asking me my opinion on the property market, and I said to him, it's been, because he said you've been in property over 30 years, and had concerns about what the property market was doing. Well, my answer was it's been a very good property market the last 100 years, and it's going to be a very good property market the next 100 years. He pissed himself. He was laughing his head off, going, you know what? It's so true. We love talking about the weather, but it really only changes about 4 times a year. And that change 4 times a year, the drastic change 4 times a year, we want to talk about a few times a day, or probably every single person we talk with. Property is similar. So the fundamental changes that are happening in property, not periodically, I'm not saying it's similar, but I'm saying, we're always exposed to it, but, it's like talking about the weather. It just always comes up in conversation.
Correct. And that's the thing. The property market always goes up and down. The long-term trajectory, we all know 100% to be true, that property moves up, yet we still try to find these new reasons why this time is different. And the biggest thing is, yes, each individual circumstance might be slightly different to last time, but when you actually take a step back and look at from a macro level, it's all the same. It's whether it's lending that's changing, it's whether it's the demand, people coming into the country that's changing. There's a few fundamental factors these levers that pull the property prices up and down. But we've gone through it all before in the past in some way, shape or form. And this is just another part of that cycle.
And don't forget, it's the level of the questions that you're asking the market as a consumer. So if I go to you, how are you, Michael?
Your head has definitely enlarged now.
How are you, Michael?
I'm good, Mark.
How are you, Michael?
Oh, I'm struggling at the moment. It's tough.
So I think people do that with the property market. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not just that's just what things do. They really drill down, and then you sort of almost get a different answer.
Yeah, correct. That's
when you have this, you ponder on it. Now, my second golden nugget I want to give people to try to understand the Australian property market at the moment, and I came up with the analogy the other day, and the penny dropped. It's basically like turbulence in an aeroplane. And I liked when I said this to you before, Michael. I loved your response. I'll get you to double around to that in a second. But what it's like is you're flying, you're high, it's, you're in the sky, Now, when the plane, irrelevant to what height that plane's at, when it jumps around, everybody freezes. Like that.
Yeah.
Everyone goes like that. And they go like that while the plane's jumping around. It's jumping around. And then when the plane stays stable for a while, they loosen up a bit. When the plane's stable for a lot longer, then they start to unbuckle, get up, move around. The Australian property market is exactly the same with reacting to interest rates. So as soon as those rates are up, oh shit, even if they're down, oh shit, people are sit there and do nothing, abstain. But then eventually they got to get up, they got to move around, they got to go to the toilet, they got to get stuff done.
Yeah, it's so true. And off the back of that, what I said to Mark before was when the plane starts going through turbulence, and I don't know the exact statistics on this, but we see it all out there that going in a plane is safer than most other modes of transport, where you're more likely to be in an accident on the way to work than you are driving to work than you are in a plane. And so people feel the turbulence, and the rational mind goes, one in billions of planes go down, not very many, so we know we're safe. The irrational mind goes, oh, I'm feeling turbulence, I'm freaking out. And it's the same thing with the property market. When we go through the turbulence, people feel the rational mind is, well, we know it's going to go up in a couple of years anyway. If we can just hold on, it's going to be fine. The irrational mind goes, oh my goodness, is this time going to be different? What's going to happen? And people freak out. It's the same thing.
React.
Correct.
Spot on.
People react.
They are the golden nuggets in trying to interpret the Australian property market. If you apply some of those principles we spoke about today, you will be better at your interpretation and then make better decisions on the property market. Thank you very much, Mr. SILJIC.
Thank you, Mark.
See you guys.